when I gave birth, the biggest thing that was hard for me was, of course, contractions, child. When they started coming on, it was a lot. And I was in labor for 55 hours. But it took some time for my labor to even progress. Like, they had to give me Pitocin. Yeah. Of course, just even based off of my own research, I was like, well, I don't want to go in there and have to go straight to medicine. And I don't want to have to take, like, Pitocin. But it was really like, well, your labor is not progressing. Your water broke. And you're going to have to take Pitocin. And then at some point when I started taking Pitocin, of course, my contractions was coming on real heavy. And then, so I'm like, where the drugs?
Right.
So my question, too, is, like, within home birth, how do you help deal with, like, the pain management?
We give you some time to stay relaxed, keep these stress hormones down, and just allow the body to have time to catch up with what just happened. That's how it works at home. You're able to be up, moving around, do what you need to do to be comfortable versus being in the bed, which is the hospital space, right? So the hospital does not accommodate a natural laboring process, a physiologic laboring process, okay? Because everything the hospital does while you're in labor is confining, and it's counterproductive to labor to happen on its own. It's designed for them to control it. You got your monitors, you got your IVs,
I had to wear the monitor. I couldn't stand. As soon
things.
as I gave birth, I was like, can y'all take the, of course they wouldn't take it, but I said, please take it out. Welcome back to another Urban Eden podcast. I'm your host, Taryn Lewis, and today we are going to be featuring Christine Taylor. Y'all know I got to do my formal introductions. We love having her here. So we're going to get into the nitty-gritty about who Christine Taylor is. And first of all, I'll just give what I know about her. She's an amazing person. Her spirit is so nice, bubbly, vibrant. And most of all, she's a midwife. After I give my formal introduction and after we talk about these Urban Eden products, I'm going to tell you guys about how I met Christine and why I got her here today on the couch, all right? So, meet Christine. Christine Taylor is a certified nurse midwife and Chicago native. Relocated to Atlanta, Georgia in July 2014, so 10 years, to help establish a well-known natural midwifery service. After obtaining her Bachelors of Science in Nursing from Saint Xavier University and 8 years of labor and delivery nursing, Christine became motivated to pursue a Master's in Science and Midwifery degree from Philadelphia Jefferson University. Christine has worked in a variety of settings, all of which have equipped her with necessary knowledge and skills required to provide safe and supportive home birth services. Christine has an innate passion for caring for women and provides highly intuitive care during natural laboring and birthing processes. She believes that pregnancy and birth are the most beautiful moments a woman can experience in one's lifetime and should be treated as such. Christine resides at her growing Fayetteville, Georgia homestead with her husband, her 2 daughters, 9 goats, and 5 dogs, and counting. I thought that was the cutest part. So let's welcome Christine.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Of course, it's a pleasure to have you here. We're going to talk about these Urban Eden products right quick because Christine, let me just talk about the first time I met Christine first and foremost. We're going to talk about this Urban Eden products. I don't know if we were vending at the same event or if I just came to the event. I think I might have been vending there too. But all I remember is that she definitely had a booth set up. And when I went past her booth, I was just going around checking out the event. And Christine comes out and gives me a flyer. And I think you had mentioned then that you had already used Urban Eden products.
Yes.
So she was like, I already used Urban Eden products. And then she was telling me about herself. She was like, yes, I'm a midwife. And I was like, okay, cool. And she was like, but I only do home births. And I don't even know how many years ago this was at this point.
Yes.
It wasn't a long time ago. It's been a couple of years.
It's been some years.
But that was truly the first time that I had heard about a midwife for one, and for two, home births. So that like really sparked my interest, and I was like, oh, what, like home births, midwives?
Yeah.
That was real new to me. So she was the first person to spark my interest. So it's definitely special having her here today and us diving deeper into talking about home births and midwives, because that she was truly the first person who I had heard about even being like a midwife specializing particularly in home births as well. So we're going to talk about that. So again, she told me that she used Urban Eden products already, so she's already on it. Today we're going to be featuring our lip balm and also featuring our herbal salve. And we picked these two products because, you know, Georgia is a little bipolar with the weather, but it's a little cooler right now, and lip balms are perfect for right now for this occasion. So you go ahead, you try one of those lip balms.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That's our variety pack. So it features the vanilla, the original, and peppermint. And we like to do a 3-pack because you know how you lose one. And you
need one for the car. You need one for the purse. The teenager's going to steal the other.
That's why I gave you a 3-pack, because she has 2 daughters. And I figured that she's going to have to share some with them as well.
Absolutely.
So go ahead and, you know, try a little bit of that. Put that on. And then also,
I love a lip, honey.
You gotta have and I like to put that on before I do like a lip gloss or anything, just because it's just good and moisturizing for the lips.
Smells good.
Thank you. Next up, we have our herbal salve, which is really good for this time too, especially if you're dealing with like cough, congestion. If it has peppermint, eucalyptus. Let me look, because I make a lot of products. I forget what's in it. It has peppermint, eucalyptus, pine, and tea tree, and also rosemary essential oil. So this is really good to like put on your chest.
I love a salve.
Your nose. You like salves?
Girl, I'm like an old lady now. Honey, by my bedside, I got all the things. Okay, so I will be adding this to the repertoire.
I'm glad you put it by your bedside, because even something interesting, which I could probably see you doing, is putting the salve like on the bottom of your feet if you're dealing with like any cold or anything.
Girl,
like that,
how all of this?
All the chest.
Okay.
We don't need Vicks.
No.
We got Urban Eden herbal salve.
Love it.
Thank you. And real quick, what's some of your favorite products that you like to use from the Urban Eden line?
Well, I love the soaps, the bar soaps. Coconut and kaolin. Is that how I say it?
Yep.
Okay. But I love your bar soaps. I love your face. I have I think it's the rosemary face wash.
The rose water
face wash. And I have my daughter on your tea tree line acne wash.
Shout out. Thank you. I appreciate you.
So we love your product.
Shout out to Christine for just already being on it. So I was telling Christine, we're about to ask Christine more about herself, but I was just telling her while I was on the way here, I was just thinking about Christine and just saying that she is just a revolutionary, okay? She is a midwife. She also homesteads, and she's a Black woman. If you don't mind me asking, the first thing I want to know first and foremost is, how old are you?
I am 43 years old.
I had to ask because you know you don't look nothing like your age.
Well, bless your heart. And thank you very much. Thank you.
No problem. That's what I'm saying. I wanted that to be known. I know you don't never really ask a woman her age.
Look, I'm 43 and blessed, baby.
Hello.
Let me put it that way.
And she got 2 teenagers, y'all. Everybody, so many Black women be telling me their age, and then they be like, I got teenagers, and I be like, how?
Teenagers. I have sweet 16 coming up.
Well, that should be fun. That should be fun. I think I had like a family sweet 16, but I
don't even know what I did 16.
You don't?
I don't know.
It's a special time for sure.
It is.
So yes, Christine, let's tap into you first. So I saw that you said that you were from, in your About Us, you're from Chicago.
Yes.
Made your way to Atlanta. When you came to Atlanta, were you already practicing as a midwife, or had you already been in the nursing field?
Yeah, I was already a registered nurse, and also a midwife. So I was working as a nurse midwife on the south side of Chicago for about a year before I moved to Atlanta.
What's a nurse midwife?
So a nurse midwife, so there are a few types of midwives in the country that practice midwifery, okay? And this is a hot topic because depending on who you talk to, it's like it can be a different conversation. But there are different types of midwives. Midwives like myself have a nursing background. So we have our bachelor's in nursing degree and also our master's in science and nursing degree. So, and that has been my journey into midwifery. But you have some midwives who have learned the traditional way without the nursing background. And so, there's just different types of ways and approaches and journeys to midwifery. So my background is nursing, and certified nurse midwives are licensed and certified with the state.
Okay. And at what point did you decide to become a midwife?
I was working as a labor and delivery nurse first, and I met my first midwife, who's still my mentor today. She's also from Chicago, and I met her on the unit one day, and she came in to deliver a baby, and I was the nurse, and I was like, girl, who are you and what are you doing? Like, where's the doctor? And she's like, I'm the midwife, and we're going to deliver this baby. I said, oh my gosh. Like, I had thought I had already made it to my end mark when I became a nurse on the labor and delivery unit. I love babies. I love pregnancy. I love pregnant women. And that whole thing just always gave me butterflies. Wow. So I thought I had made it and I had arrived. I'm like, okay, cool. This is where I'm going to be forever. And then I met a midwife and I was like, oh my goodness, I have to follow those footsteps. And so I immediately pursued my nurse midwifery degree.
Okay. And how long does it take to become a midwife?
So the bachelors in nursing is 4 years, and then your master's degree is another 3 to 4, depending on what your life looks like. So I was a full-grown woman with children at the time that I entered my graduate school program. So it took me about 3 years to get my master's.
Okay, to get your to get your master's in midwifery. Wow, so you can get your master's in midwifery. And I know, like, even me on Facebook, I see different women who might have like already maybe possibly been doulas or birth workers, and now they're going after their midwifery certifications.
Yes.
And, certifications. I think it's like a midwifery certification. It's not like you do
depending
a lot
on the
more.
route that you take.
Okay,
yes.
So I've seen a lot of people, and I'm also seeing a lot of people just talking about like the different challenges that they're seeing as far as like being Black and also being a midwife. We'll get there at some point, but I also just wanted to know, like, as far as like going through the journey, how has that been for you as a Black woman, and just kind of seeing the landscape of what midwifery looked like?
Sure. I didn't know the landscape as I was going through the journey, but I can say that, and just to give you a point of reference, less than 10%, I'll say that's a bigger number, but less than 10% of nurse midwives are Black women. So we still have a long way to go as far as there being more Black nurse midwives and Black midwives in the country, this country, and part of that has to do with, my earring. Part of that has to do with educational programs. It costs money to go that route. There are midwives. Midwife students need midwives to train them, regardless of which route you take. You still need preceptors to accept you into the program or accept you into their practice to actually learn a hands-on midwifery. You have a lot of racial divide in the programs as well. So that is a reality. I faced my own issues in midwifery school going for my master's degree. I was an unmarried Black mother at the time of 2 children, and so there was this, how are you going to finish school? You got this, that, and the third going on. I didn't have a husband that was taking care of me, and I was working 2 jobs, it was like a lot. But, our lives look a lot different, so the privilege is definitely not on our side when it comes to, our education.
Wow. Well, that's good that you it's so crazy sometimes when you hear journeys and how you arrive at a place. A journey, of course, is you don't ever really kind of arrive at a destination in our lives. Yes. But just for you to find your way into midwifery, I love that, and especially as a Black woman. And do you feel like, and even what I wanted to mention too is the history of, it's wild that like it's this aha moment.
Oh, yes.
As far as being a midwife, because the history is pretty much like that's what we had in our communities were midwives. And then so, like even when we were talking about your journey, I was thinking about the history of it, and then how they were talking about like, they tried to make it more of a medical situation, like where, white men were the doctors. So they're taking like, midwifery away from like the traditional midwives and then making people like go to the hospitals. And then you have a lot of Black women who dealt with like horror stories. We know we talk about the Black mortality rate. Even Kamala Harris is talking about the Black mortality rate and hopefully helping with that in her future. But that is a heavy topic. It is a very heavy topic. I know someone personally who was a doula as well, and she passed during childbirth within the hospital. Not sure of the specifics of it, but the mortality rate is high. Yeah. So it's like home birth can be a really good answer. I know me personally, y'all. I said I was gonna mention that I didn't go that route, even though I knew about you. I think I might have looked into you when I believe I did, but I think you were busy. I think when I looked at your when I looked at your booking, when I looked at you, you were booked, I believe. When I was looking at the time, which I believe she is booked and busy. You are booked and busy, even though midwifery is something like pretty new. Are you finding that like a lot of women are like utilizing your services and are looking for midwives and home births?
I'll just go back to what you were saying about the dark history. Okay, so there is a dark history of the creation of obstetrics. All right, so all of these. The foundation of obstetrics is a very dark, that's a very dark story in how they came in and criminalized all the black midwives in the country, here in the South. They criminalized them. They said, oh, y'all got to be regulated now because they saw an opportunity for money and for testing and for trials. And, we became guinea pigs. Our bodies literally became like these science projects for the white man to come in and say, oh, let's try these things on these women so that we can make money, basically. It's a very dark history, and it's worth going back and really reading about it. And midwifery is not new, and that's just the thing that's really fantastic about it is the fact that there's been a huge success in the story of midwifery in this country as far as eradicating the whole art and skill of it and making you think that traditional care is going to the doctor's office, versus midwives being the original healers, right? And so, it's how can I put this? It's a very real and true story that we can't walk away from. We can't walk away from the fact that our bodies were used as test pilots and testing objects without our consent, and midwives were the original healers, but yet, they were thrown in jail or criminalized because they were practicing something they've been practicing for years, for generations. But this, this agenda came by, and made it something different. So now midwifery is starting to have this rise again a little bit.
It is.
And women are starting to say, hey, I want a midwife because I heard A, B, and C. I heard that, outcomes are better when I'm in the hands of a midwife. I heard that I have more options with a midwife. I want someone that looks like me to take care of me.
That part, that's exactly what I'm thinking about when I'm like, we want people that look like us, and we want women, not just even, of course, as black women, we want other black women we want to see them around.
Right.
Like, I know even me personally, when I went to the hospital, I went to a clinic that specifically had midwives. I knew that I wanted to at least work with a midwife.
Yes.
And I saw like multiple midwives, so I didn't actually even the clinic that I kind of was going to was still kind of like what do they call it? Like a turning table. Like it was just like I'm seeing
food.
Yeah, I'm seeing all these different people. I really wasn't creating a relationship with any midwives. And pregnancy is a 9-month journey, and especially for like a woman, if it's their first time or we just really need that support. Specifically when it's your first time, like you really want to have somebody to be there with you to be able to be through that journey. And like you said, even going to like the hospital and doctors, they only see you for like a specific amount of time, and they don't really show you a lot of the care, and they don't always hear your concerns when you have specific concerns. But even like I said, I went to a clinic and I saw different midwives, and even when I gave birth, the midwife that I started, they had like somebody on rotation. So the person that I started with was not the person that I delivered my baby. I literally had just met this person. Right, 15 minutes.
Well, that's before. How you know it's a systemic situation, right? The system is not designed for you to feel special. It's not designed for women to feel like they are cared for. We're going to check all the boxes and make sure you're not, sick, right? But we don't really care. We don't have time to investigate how you feel on a personal human level. So that's systemic, right? So moms that come out of that system and are like seeking midwifery outside of the medical model of care are seeking the intimacy. That's what you get when you come out of this system. You get the intimacy. You get the extra time needed to get something off your chest. We get to learn who you are as a person, how your life is affecting your pregnancy and your birth and preparing you for your experience. We get to see your partner and form a relationship with your family members. Your children are welcomed here to see the experience. It's a whole person, family-centered situation when you come out of the system. Okay. And so that's what women are seeking when they seek a midwife. Mm-hmm. And it's unfortunate that midwifery in the hospital setting does not even allow that time either. And that is why my goal is to get some of these midwives to come out of there, because on the midwifery side, in that type of a situation, it's frustrating as well. You know, we want to bond with our patients. You know, we want to be able to provide a compassionate patient care, but you can't, because the system that you work under does not allow the time for that. It's not prioritized.
Right. So then so at first when you were starting with your midwifery journey, you were in the hospital first?
Yes.
So you were a midwife in the hospital?
Yes.
So you know what I'm talking about too, when we talk about like you just seeing somebody
Absolutely.
real quick, you're on shift.
You're on shift, we're rotating. I might see you at your birth, I might not. You can't call me.
Right.
You're going to get who you're going to get. I might see you postpartum. You know, it's a broken system. It's not a system that is follows moms to really address their needs, to be honest. Because if I tell you something and we're not communicating, I mean, it's just not built for that.
Right. So then at some point, when did you have that aha moment that was like, I need to start my own practice? And because I've been to your office before. It's very like you said, it's intimate. There's not a bunch of rooms. It's really like, you know, it's like a studio space essentially. Like it's small and
intimate. It's like a living room.
Pretty much.
Families come in and they're comfortable. The children are running around and take the shoes off, and it's like, oh, we just here. You know, we're chilling. Because so to answer your question, home birth midwifery was really dropped into my lap. When I came to Atlanta, I worked at a very busy practice. And my children were very young at the time. I was a single mom at the time when I got here. And I was always at work. Oh, my God. I was always at work. Wow. And I had...
on somebody's clock.
And it was really hard. And the moment was when I had a panic attack in the office one day at work. And I was like, I don't know what, I'm about to die. Like something's about to happen to me right now. Right. And so my mentor had already opened up a home birth practice. She had already began her home birth practice maybe a couple years prior. And she was like, you need to, you know, think about home birth, Christine. I'm like, girl, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing no home birth, honey.
Why was that?
Because it was different.
Right.
I had never been to one. I'm like, I'm not doing that.
Right.
Girl.
Well, but did you have do you feel that even though you were a midwife, did you feel like you had some sort of stigma associated with like home births?
No, because the blessing in it all is that the practices that I was with, the hospital practice that I worked with, we took care of transfers from the hospital. I'm sorry, from the home birth setting.
So, like, say if a person something was going on at the home birth and they needed to go to the hospital,
they would come to our service.
Okay, yes.
And that was my intro into home birth, and it was never this urgent, horrible, critical situation. These moms were coming in for pain management. They were coming in for stalled labor. They needed some Pitocin. Like, it was. Rarely, I can't even remember a case where it was like an emergent situation where we were rushing to the OR to save somebody's life, you know? And so that was and that's why I think my life was divinely ordered.
Yes, I could tell.
Because when I was a child, I went to work with my auntie who was a labor and delivery nurse. And that's when you could take your kids to work with you.
Wow.
Honey, I would be sitting up there chilling with her, looking at these bellies, and it was just amazing. My mom would put me in these programs in school. She's like, okay, you be in these medical programs to be in the nursery holding the babies. And then I came to Atlanta. I met my first midwife friend in Chicago as a nurse. I came to Atlanta and worked in a practice that took care of home birth moms. And then I ended up being in the home birth space. And that was out of survival because I was like, I'm not going back to Chicago. I have to be home with my children. Like, I cannot work like this anymore. And so home birth that's why I say it was put into my lap, because that became my saving grace, to be honest with you. It's hard work, though. It's very hard work.
I bet.
It's hard work. I'm not sitting here acting like everything's peaches and cream. It's not. But it's definitely, I would take that over anything.
Yeah, that was deep what you said when you said that you were having a panic attack. And that really stuck out to me because you just said, like, midwives are some of the original healers. Like, y'all were definitely working with, of course, like history, they were working with plants and different medicines. But like you said, if you're the original healer, like the healer needs to be taken care of as well. You can't be out here delivering people's babies and you out here stressed out, going through it, not taking care of yourself.
And that's the era I'm in this decade of home birth. It's like really tapping into myself and reclaiming some of my time as I still continue to provide care for mothers. You know, that's where I'm at. I'm settled in it. You know, as a new midwife, I'm hustling and bustling and I'm on the streets, I'm outside or whatever. But now it's like, okay, girl, slow it down, you know, and I'm trying to just bring more students and midwives into the space and hopefully teach them how to do what I'm doing in a way that is more not self-centered, but kind of selfish.
Yeah, no, but you have to take care of yourself. And of course you have 2 young daughters that are growing up. You definitely want to be involved in their life. You got goats and dogs.
Listen. You
got to be there for everybody. And you're the mama, and anybody knows, like, when you're a mom, like, everybody comes to you. But then you also have a business as well. Yeah. And of course, because I have a business, I already understand that when you bring on other people into the team, it's like extensions of you. It is. And you let people know too when they come onto your team, like, hey, you represent the vision. Not to say that the business is fully about you, but it started with you. So sure. When we go forward, like, you're representing me essentially, like who I am and the purpose that I started, but I'm asking other people to come along.
Absolutely.
And join the team.
And that is the piece of it that, you know, we're still every business owner, right? And it's rough dealing with business and midwifery because it's hard to kind of find balance with the two when the world thinks the purpose of midwives is to, I got to take care of everything and everybody that comes to me and open door policy. And it's not that, you know, but then you have this, because you have this business side that you have to keep intact. And then you got to keep yourself intact, you know, so it's layered for sure.
It's a juggling piece. And, you definitely do have to keep it. And I know we were talking about, like, when you worked in the hospital, of course you had set hours. That's what I was going to ask you. Like, how are you juggling, like, with your hours now? Because I know one time, I've only been to one other birth, and my friend, she had a water birth at home. And I think they asked me to come to the birth, and I went. But it was, like, at midnight, and of course the baby didn't come. And they was like, at the end of it all, they was like, yeah, you could be a doula now. And I said, y'all, this is not for me. And I know that a lot of people are loving to become doulas and becoming birth workers, but you have to understand it too when something is not, like, for you, because the hours are crazy.
That part. And I'm seeing a lot of that. Like, folks don't want to be on call. Like, they like, call me 9 to 5. Like, girl, baby's come at 2 a.m.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So I know your schedule is like,
you know, but that's the thing. That's why when you reached out, probably it said I was booked or whatever, is because you know, when you're working alone and you're the solo midwife life, you got to put some boundaries. You got to take, have a certain capacity you take every month, because that's hard. It's not just about catching babies, but you're carrying moms throughout their pregnancy in preparing them for birth and going through labor. And then we got a birth, and now we on the postpartum phase. Like, there's this whole year, I say, of just carrying, and it can be taxing. That's why, a good midwife is not going to do more than she can handle, you know.
When you first started out, did you feel like you were just taking on any and everybody, and then you realized you had to set boundaries, or did you kind of like come into there?
You know what, probably. And then there was a lot of lessons learned in that. You know what I'm saying? You learn some lessons in business, and you like, okay, I'm not doing that again. Because people are going to people. My husband has said that to me, and I'll never forget those words. People are going to be people, and so in that that's why it's even more important for you to have boundaries, for you to have, your capacity and be real with yourself, that you can't take care of everyone and you shouldn't.
No, you shouldn't.
You're not everybody's.
Everybody.
No. But the women that I do take care of, the families I take care of, I mean, I do it wholeheartedly, and I hope that they know that.
I could feel it. How many people do you typically take on a month? Like,
well, the team is growing. I have a new midwife on the team, so we are expanding our capacity to about 6 to 8 moms a month.
Oh, wow, that's good. So I love that you still keep the number small again, so that you can show people the proper care that they need. Yeah. And of course, the podcast is about holistic journeys. And even when you talked about just you being a midwife and taking care of a mom as a whole, like, you got to take care of yourself, but then you're also taking care of other people's families, like showing them the
Sure.
way, fostering, or cultivating, honestly, like they're helping them cultivate their own birth journey.
Yes, absolutely.
It's a super, super special time. Like you said, giving birth is a very special time. You want to make sure that mom's mind is right. You want
Yep.
to make sure that the body is right. You want to make sure her spirit is right.
Absolutely. All that has to align.
All of it. Because I didn't go with you yet, but I think I got one more in me.
You do.
Think I got one more in me.
You do. You do.
And I gave birth, so I know what it feels like, and I'm
Yeah.
like, even just approaching having to have a human come out your body and stuff. What does care with Birth by Grace look like, essentially?
I would say that our approach is I call it's just a very simple thing. It's simple until it's not, right? But our initial meeting doesn't have to be complicated. Our conversations. I think that's the big thing. We have more conversations than we do anything. It's not like a matter of, oh, hey girl, come on in here. Let me do this, that, and the third. How you doing? Like we really spending time together. And so you're able to express what's on your heart, express your fears, express your anxieties, express your desires, like we're able to talk about those things, and I'm not a counselor. I'm not a therapist. But sometimes we just need some space to really like delve into some things to help you on your journey, on your path, and my job is to give you the tools you'll need to be prepared for the birth that you want. My job is also to keep things very balanced and very realistic for you in a realistic perspective and lens, because we'll be planning for a thing and it turns into another thing real quick. How can we navigate that together? How can we navigate that together, and how can you come on the other side of that still whole and feeling heard and feeling like you mattered in the whole process and that you're still, the captain of your own ship, so it's this guidance going on. Midwifery care is not, we're not your yes people.
Right.
We're not just going to give you, yeah, girl, you can do that. Yeah, girl, you can do that. Yeah, girl. No.
You don't need to be doing
There's some times when mamas is like, I don't like what you just said.
You like, I'm going to keep it real with you.
But I'm going to keep it real because I'm not here to sell you no bullshit. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And this is real life. I want you healthy. I want your baby healthy. And your mind, your body, and your soul.
Hello.
Okay? And so at the end of care, I always say, regardless of the outcome, did you feel good?
Right.
Did you feel heard? Did you feel like you mattered in this relationship here? And that's why the mamas are texting me with their 5-year-old pictures. Like, my bad.
Wow. See, yeah, that's
it's a
special.
relationship.
That's special. You definitely want to have a relationship with the person. Y'all have doulas in your practice as well?
We have preferred list of doulas.
Oh, okay. Preferred list of doulas. Okay, good. So y'all pretty much offer the whole the whole care.
Oh,
much.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. So we do in our office. We do everything. There's really nothing missing outside of the office. Outside of like ultrasounds. We used to have a sonographer in the office, but that's the only thing now that we have to refer out for. But we do blood work in the office. Like everything is done on site. And so, insurances cover those things. And we have like a dynamic list of like preferred providers, right? So if you need something, if you need chiropractic care, we got that. If we need a doula or a child education or lactation specialist, like we have a dynamic network, which I love my network of people. And our moms are really taken care of.
Networking is important. That's what I'm learning, that networking is important. One question, well, I have two questions, but first one is, how did you come up with the name Birth by Grace?
I just feel like by God's grace, we're able to conceive, carry and bring forth life, and in the space of birth, in the atmosphere is God's grace, for everybody there experiencing it, right? And just favor, and I always feel God's presence in the room, when I'm in the space holding a mom's hand during birth.
Giving birth is the opposite of death. Like that is you take
beautiful.
your first breath.
It's so beautiful for everybody involved.
Yes.
And I love when families, like a common question is, can my family be there? Who can be there? And it's like, yeah, they can be there, especially your children, because we have to rewrite this narrative that birth is scary and birth is horrible. And I almost died because that labor pain was so hard. Like,
I was gonna ask you.
I love when the daughters are there and we having a baby at the house, and I've been around generations of women in the room, and everyone is transformed.
Wow.
And that is what I want more of. I want more. Oh, mommy had the baby in the room. It wasn't all of that. I want to have my baby like that. You know what I'm saying? I want to just bring that to the forefront and make that more of the norm for our Black girls.
Yes.
You know?
I hear that because I got a little one, and I think every day about what do I want to show her? What example do I want to be to her? Yeah. What are the types of things? And I know like gardening is definitely one of those things. But again, like you said, a home birth is actually something that's important. I remember my mom had my brother 7 years younger than me. So I was 7 years old. But I remember my mom giving birth in the hospital. Like I remember seeing, that was the first birth that I had ever witnessed before. So like you said, having a sibling in there and them actually like seeing that is it's a godly event.
It is.
To come in and give birth. And also when you mentioned birth by grace and God's favor, one thing that I thought about was just even after becoming a mom, just even for like the first time or second time, and how our bodies and our lives transform. And one big overarching thing that you have to have with yourself is grace.
Yeah, absolutely.
In general, because your body doesn't look the same, your life doesn't look the same, you're not the person that you were before. You got to take care of a child now, and then you try to figure out how to be you again, and you're not like you is redefined.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely. You got to show yourself some grace. Give yourself some grace, because I always talk about how we're always in this this cycle of transformation. You know, even when your children are babies, you're always transforming to a different phase in life. Oh, now they walking now. Oh, now they sleeping through the night. That's levels. Another phase. It's levels. But on each level, we coming on top of something, right? Because when that baby's sleeping all night, guess who else is sleeping all night? You.
Because I'm not sleeping all night, Curly. I don't know how I'm making it. I mean, and then when I have teenagers, like, we're in this teenage phase, honey, and it's like, Lord, it's a whole nother
help.
Level.
Help. You know, and that's another transformation, another phase of life. But you get a little bit more of yourself back. Yes. So I get it. Like I'm 43 now, but like when I hit 40 and my kids were like more independent, and I'm like, oh, okay, now I'm feeling like myself again. But you got to go through all these things, you know, and you're going to be okay. You do have to give yourself grace. You have to, because if you don't, then who will?
True. It does start with you, and most of the time we're in our own way. So,
and we're in our heads,
and probably make our situation more, you know, a little worse than what it needs to be. You know, we think, my body doesn't look the same, and I got a little extra fat around the part when I just had a baby in there.
Instead of being like, thank you, body.
Right.
Thank you.
We have social media nowadays, and the snapback culture, and everybody.
I thought we killed that.
We thought that we did, but I mean, again, it's just the same way as, like you said, how white men doctors were able to just come in and just change the whole narrative. Yeah. Marketing and social media and what we're seeing in the news and on social media or whatever kind of media platforms we're on is really like, it's a battle. It's a mental battle.
Absolutely.
It truly is. It's a one where you're like constantly comparing yourself.
Yes.
But then also trying to tell yourself like, I'm great. I'm good. I'm good on one end. Like, you know how you're feeling in real life, but then, you know, you might see the comparison of how, you know, Beyonce is somebody just to snatch back real quick.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. And it's a thing. It's a thing. And we just have to remind ourselves that, you know, we're walking in our purpose and someone is looking at you the same way.
That's true. Okay, my second question that I had was, okay, being that you're a Black woman from Chicago and you came to Atlanta, at what point did you, like, how are you now this, like, homesteading mama? Like, at what point did you came from Chicago? I don't know if you were in the city part. I never really been to Chicago. But, like, what made you just be like, man, I need to be out in the country somewhere raising some goats, raising my kids?
I always said that. I don't know why. I don't know. I love animals. Okay, so I'm an animal lover. But I would always say that I want land and I want animals.
Yeah.
Now ask me that today. It's different.
Because it's a lot of work.
Okay, but what's funny is my husband is from Philadelphia. And he's been in it.
Like city area too? Oh, wow.
And he came to Atlanta when he went to Morehouse and never went back. And so it's weird for him too. But when we met, I was like, look, I want some land. I want some animals. Like, I want these things. And he went out and did it. And then I was like, wait.
It's a lot of work every day.
I don't know. I'm just crazy like that. And it's fun.
But you doing it.
It's fun. You know, I love our life. It's busy, but it's like I live on my own resort type of situation. Right. Like we're able to really get our heads right.
I recently just started following your husband because I was about to take a gardening workshop with Nia Brown Matthews here.
Oh, I
want to meet her
so
too at some point and have her on the website.
She's so cool.
Y'all know her?
Yeah, I went to one of her workshops this summer.
Yeah, the one over at Tractor Supply or just at
No, there was one this summer at another resort in Douglasville up the street.
Yes.
And it was beautiful, and I just love her spirit. Like, she is so phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm going to have her on here too. But I went on her page and saw your husband commenting under there. But I just seen homesteading in the name. Yeah. And I really because I want land myself too at some point just to be able to I want to be able to plant my own trees and everything. Yes. But I did see your husband just posting, and I saw y'all goats all up in the camera. And then I saw that y'all are building like a new garden. I don't know if you already have one, but y'all are extending.
That's our plan for this next spring coming up. Yeah. So
do you have medicinal and vegetable or just like vegetable garden?
Just vegetable now. We do have some herbs down there, and just starting small, you know. But this was our first year where we really had a booming garden. Like, I could literally go out there and go grocery shopping.
How long? That's goals right there.
Listen, really between the garden and farmers markets, I'm hardly in Publix, and that was a goal. That was a goal of mine. Yeah. And I buy my meat off of farms in Georgia. Yes. Like, I'm like, I don't want to be in the garden in the grocery store anymore.
It's expensive, and then even recently when I went to Publix, I was like trying to get a thing of lettuce. All the lettuce was expired. It was was about to expire within the next day or two.
I believe it.
So I'm out here. I'm living a rental right now, but I'm just doing like my container gardens because, but I'm like, I just really feel this calling for land, especially just having like urban eating. I'm really into like herbs as well. But like you said, being able to go grocery shop in your own backyard and supporting local farmers around you. That's true wealth, and that's good for your health as well. That's good for your health. So that's cool that you just ended up finding yourself doing that. And then, of course, you have a partner that aligns with you. Yeah. And that helps. Because like you said, it's hard work. So it's
Look, I don't even do them. I don't do the animals at all. I go out there. I'm like, I always laugh like, I'm the nurturer. Okay? Right. I'm going to go out here and pet and talk to them and stuff. I'm not doing all that stuff.
And I know you seem like a diva type. Like you, like
that's
you,
me,
you
honey.
Real cute. You like
I'm cute. 98% of the time, I'm cute.
98% of the time.
2%, I'll get out there in the trenches with you, but not too much.
That's what's up. So, do you feel like, because I truly feel like I love having a garden in general because I feel like it just helps to nourish my mind, helps to like align myself with the things that I want to do in life, and it's really good for your mind. It's good for the mental. So do you feel like you having a garden and a homestead has just been good for you as far as like even being a midwife in the journey in the
you
work
know what
that
my garden has taught me so much this year, and I did post about that this summer, just how it teaches you a lot of lessons. You know, like you have to nurture the seed you're planting. You have to, the soil has to be okay.
Give us a word. Come on.
Yes.
Come on, word.
The soil has to be nourishing. Plant your seed, patience for growth, feeding, fertilizing, pruning the extra things that needs to come off of there. That's like, you know, eating at your produce and your growth and progress. And just God talks to me in that garden. And I think it really grounds me to go out there. And every day I'm out there. I don't care if I'm just looking around, but I'm just pulled to my garden because that is the one place that I feel 100% centered and grounded. And I don't know, I I wouldn't have it any other way. I don't care if something's growing or not.
You like, I just need to be
okay.
out here.
But like you mentioned lettuce. Like this year I was like, I want something growing all throughout the year. So we planted our fall crops, you know, and we're beginners. We're not pros at this thing. But I can go out there and pick some butter lettuce now and make myself a salad. Nice. Or, you know, and it gives you this feeling, you feel good. Like I grew that and we're nourishing our family with it. You know, and it doesn't have to be, that's another thing. It doesn't have to be this big, huge situation. You know, you can make so much out of your container garden, but just knowing that you nourish the things in there that you're growing for your family to consume.
I can imagine you, what they say, like that video talking about, I know why Jody mama was out in the
Listen,
garden.
the way I'm about
you.
to print it and put it on my wall somewhere, yes, I get it.
He's like, I'm out there.
I get it. I'm out there. Goals.
Okay. I definitely wanted to make sure that we touched on the homesteading part because I think that that's just so cool. How long have you had the garden space and been homesteading?
The garden space has been a project over a couple of years. We've had animals maybe 3 years now.
Okay, so for the past 3 years. So essentially, even with you said 43, right? So just within going into your 40s, like that's what 40s is looking like for you. You like, I'm out here in the garden, baby, homestead.
Listen, happy as a clam, honey. Happy. I don't have to be outside and go nowhere.
I hear that. And I love to see that because, like, again, I said I want land, but I'm 33, so I'm 10 years younger than you. But I feel like I need to definitely start doing the work now. So by the time I get 40, I want to make sure that we somewhere where we like definitely are growing the land because I think that is quite an investment, of course, in the landscape of cost of living and everything now. We're definitely working our way towards that. But I definitely wanted to just touch on that homesteading part because I feel like that's such a one, you have a lot of people awakening to home births, and then you have a lot of people awakening to gardening as well, and just the mental health that helps with in general. Okay, so I do want to go back to talking about Birth by Grace, though, for sure. What does the future of midwifery look like for you, and like what do you feel like is your vision and your purpose within Birth by Grace and midwifery?
Yeah. So as you know, as a business owner, your vision evolves, you know. I find myself again in this space of encouraging other midwives to pursue entrepreneurship and midwifery because I just feel like there's so much space there for growth and fulfillment in the career. You know, you don't have to be a tired, cranky midwife going to work and these shifts are killing you and you hate who you work with. Like it doesn't have to look like that for nurse midwives. Because, and I say nurse midwives because we're trained in the hospital setting.
Nice. And that's actually,
you know, we don't get that home birth piece.
Okay. That's a good balance though. Cause you know, you have that.
It's a great balance.
You can administer different things that need to be done that could be done at the
Exactly.
hospital.
So you're bringing your clinical knowledge with you in the home space if that's where you find yourself, or in the birth center space, right? I just want to create that lane for nurse midwifery students and nurse midwives who know that they don't want to be practicing in a certain arena, right? They know they want to show up for families in a different way. And also home birth is always going to be something that I'm going to be doing in some capacity, you know. So I'm just in this era now of encouraging and trying to inspire other midwives and bringing on more students so they can have that opportunity to see birth in its most natural raw state in a healthy way, you know, and start thinking outside of the box when it comes to their careers.
That's why I was like, it's a blessing to know you and just see that you're growing your practice by adding other midwives. Again, you giving them, like you say, you're giving them that space to see births in real time, to experiment and to be a part of a group. And how do you feel like, because to me, I feel like I don't want to put us in a box as far as Black people in general, but we do know, like, within our community, sometimes it could be a lot of like crab in the barrel mentality. Whereas you're more on this collaboration effort where you're bringing in other midwives into the group and growing your group. One question is like, how do you kind of like find midwives to bring in? I know you only have one so far. You do plan on adding probably some more as time goes on?
Either adding or helping them springboard into their own purpose. You know what I mean? First of all, midwifery, you can't, especially midwifery outside the box of the hospital, you can't do that alone. You know, you have to be collaborating with people, even nurse practitioners. You know, I know some phenomenal nurse practitioners who are doing their thing out there by themselves as well as business owners. And we just collaborate care for our patients, because at the end of the day, we want all these moms to have what they need. Right. And what I'm not, a balanced midwife is not going to tell you she can wear all the hats for you either. You know, I'm not going to be your therapist. I can't be your childbirth educator. You know, I can't, I can teach you some stuff, but that's not like my specialty. You know what I'm saying? So I want to be able to refer you to someone who specializes in that for you, so you can get the best that you can get, the knowledge that you need for yourself. You know what I mean? Like, collaboration is key. Working with other entrepreneurs is key in every space. Doulas, educators, chiropractors, pelvic floor therapists, like, we all work together, so I'm just trying to bring that more so to the forefront, because I want to be able to, I just want to just encourage more midwives to come through, encourage more student midwives to seek home birth midwifery or that experience, and it not be fearful or scary because you've never experienced it before, So that's the kind of lane I'm on right now.
Okay, cool. I have a question for myself, asking for myself.
Okay.
When I gave birth, the biggest thing that was hard for me was, of course, contractions, child. When they started coming on, it was a lot. And I was in labor for 55 hours. In total, 55 hours. So my water broke on a Tuesday. I didn't go into the hospital till like 3 o'clock in the morning on that Wednesday.
Okay.
Thought that Eden was definitely going to be coming that day. But it took some time for my labor to even progress. Like, they had to give me Pitocin. Yeah. But because my water had broke, there was this like, okay, well, you have 48 hours to make something shake. Or you have, and at first, even going into it, of course, just even based off of my own research, I was like, well, I don't want to go in there and have to go straight to medicine. And I don't want to have to take like Pitocin. But it was really like, well, your labor is not progressing. Your water broke and you're going to have to take Pitocin. And then at some point when I started taking Pitocin, of course, my contractions was coming on real heavy. And then, so I'm like, where the drugs?
Right.
I'm like, where the drugs? So my question too is like, within home birth, and I think that it might be a question that maybe a lot of women might ask, is like, how do you help deal with like the pain management in the birthing process?
So what did you do to prepare for labor?
What do you mean? Like, what do you mean to prepare for labor? Like throughout the whole 9 months, or like right when it happened? I did have a doula, and so I met with her like, probably like maybe once a month, I think. And then I think as it got closer, it was probably like weekly. But I did a lot of more. It was like mental work. It was writing in my journal, doing yoga, eating particular things. Those were some of the things that I was doing. But then, of course, like, when my water broke, I'm calling the hospital, like, do I come to the hospital now? Like, do I labor? It was a lot of like uncertainty. I don't know what I'm doing. And then, of course, it's crunch time at that point. Like, the baby is coming. Whatever y'all telling me to do is essentially like what I'm doing. I don't know what to do.
So in that instance, so you did everything, but in that instance, on the home birth side, we give you time. Because the research shows that spontaneous labor is going to start probably within 24 hours after your water breaks, right? So we give you some time to stay relaxed, keep these stress hormones down, and just allow the body to have time to catch up with what just happened, right? And it matters where your mind is, your spirit is, your emotions are, because it was your first baby, and you've never been there before. And so you did what you would do. I'm going to call the doctor. They told me to go in. Okay, well, now we got to get the baby out. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times, if we just give it some time and trust the process, right? Trusting the process, being watchful of the things we need to be watchful of, infection, all the things. That is something that we manage a lot in the home birth space, without it becoming a medical event.
That's interesting. See, that's my only kind of hang up after dealing with contractions.
But you would have been, so at home, you would not have been in the bed. You'd have been walking around. You'd have been in your shower. These are things that we would have had you doing just to kind of promote comfort, okay, and your tolerance to what you were feeling, right? That's how it works at home. You're able to be up, moving around, do what you need to do to be comfortable versus being in the bed, which is the hospital space, right? So the hospital does not accommodate a natural laboring process, a physiologic laboring process, okay? Because everything the hospital does while you're in labor is confining, and it's counterproductive to labor to happen on its own. It's designed for them to control it. You got your monitors, you got your IVs, you
I
got
had to wear the monitor. I couldn't stand.
all
As
the
soon as I
things.
gave birth, I was like, "Can y'all take the?" Of course, they wouldn't take it,
Take
but I
this
said,
thing
"Please
out.
take it out." Yes, it was very uncomfortable. Even me trying to like be with my baby, and I will say too, after I gave birth, for one, again, I went on Tuesday at 3:00 in the morning. I didn't see the light of day until Friday.
Oh, wow.
I felt so, I would say I
Yeah.
felt a little depressed after I gave birth. And when I like finally went outside again, and even like when I got home, some of the things I had to do was actually like go stand outside, like go get some sunlight.
Yeah.
And I wasn't in my own space. And then of course I was having nurses coming in
Sure,
every
2
20
seconds.
minutes. You can't rest.
That.
So that's why I would look at home birth, and I'm really just, that's why I want to feel more like comfortable with it,
absolutely.
with doing a home
And
birth.
I think that there's a misconception that we have this hands-off approach. That's not the truth. If you need an IV at the house, I'm gonna give it to you. You know, if I see that you're dehydrated or you know you've been vomiting the whole time, or you know what I'm saying, or you could benefit from some IV fluids even after trying to hydrate you, you know, with oral fluids and things like that. I'm gonna do that for you because we can here. You're gonna be able to eat and drink at your home. You're going to be able to be in your own space. That alone takes away a lot of the anxiety of home birth, because you're in your most comfortable place that you could be in, hopefully, is your home, right? With your spouse, with your family that's there to take care of you. And we help walk you through that the whole time, so that when the time comes, you can surrender to it and just feel comfortable and feel good. And ready to go through the motions of it all without this fear thing being on top of you. Right. I can tell you our moms are not on a level of, they don't experience this level of fear to where it's paralyzing them, like, oh God, I can't do it. Oh God, no, just take me in. Like that rarely happens because we have this whole time together that we're getting you ready. And so by the time it comes around, you're like, oh, I'm ready for this thing. I'm actually excited about it. Moms are like, I'm excited. I can't wait till this thing works. I can't wait till this happens.
And most people I know that anybody who's ever had a home birth, or even seeing people on social media talking about their home births, the moms always feel empowered and they like, wow, I did that. And I've even known women who go back after, you know, once they get on their second, where they going back and they just strictly home births. Like I was telling you about Kamiko, who was on there last time. She said she had 5 kids. The first 2 was hospital, and then the last 3 was home birth. So it's just like even that comfort of like, once you've done the home birth one time, like you're in there, like I'm doing it again. So it must be a good experience. I believe it.
It's your experience, you know, because even that is a bit, you have to be careful with social media and home birth too, because you only see the end part of this cute little baby and mama, whatever.
Yeah, they be the videos.
Honey, it's a whole. Listen. They skip over the whole thing that had happened before, okay? That got on everybody's nerves, okay? It wasn't cute.
It was that cute.
Okay, so yes, there's a whole process there that everybody had to go through to get to this thing.
So let's be real and definitely mention that it's not always, of course, you're going to deal with the things that because, you know, giving birth, of course, is a very mental, very, very mental
Absolutely.
thing. Getting over that mental of like, I could do this, or dang, the pain is like ridiculous. That's why I was definitely asking about that pain management, because I'm like, yeah, that's the biggest thing.
But that's also the thing too. When moms come to me, I'm always like, the goal is a vaginal birth. Okay, I don't care how you get there. We can plan for this home birth, but don't feel bad about changing changing it out, changing the plans. This is your plan. Yes, you're not married. We don't have to be married to anything. Like, you have to be able to be flexible and go with the flow of the things we can't ultimately control. To be honest with you.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. Okay. And before we close out, you've shared a lot of gems with us. And again, like I said, when I come back for number 2, I'm hitting you up.
Please do.
For the home birth, for sure.
We can do it.
We can do it. I believe it. And of course, I love you. You're amazing. Your spirit is amazing. So I just know that with good guidance, it should be good to be able to get through it. But before we close out, I do want to ask, what is like one thing that you just would want to share, just even on this platform, with anyone about home births and midwifery? What's what's just that one thing that you're passionate about, that message that you're passionate about? Yeah.
I think the goal of midwifery is to support you in what you want. It's not what I want. It's not what the midwives see for you. It's what you want. And so if you need a professional who is going to hold your hand through your pregnancy and birth, just know that it's on your terms and you have the space to make the decisions that you feel are best for yourself. That's what midwifery is all about. Okay? It's about guiding you and helping you navigate to the goal that you see yourself achieving for yourself. Okay? And in that, we do that in the most respectful way, in the most compassionate way. And hopefully, the key is you finding a midwife that you align with so that you all can intuitively together, embark on this journey together for you to come out on the other side happy and whole. That's the purpose. It doesn't have to look like home birth. It doesn't have to look like unmedicated birth. It can look like I wanted visits with this midwife because I needed something for my home, but I'm having my baby at the hospital with epidural. But I also want to be able to see my midwife outside of the hospital when I come back with this baby that I don't know how to take care of.
So that's an option too.
Absolutely.
Oh, wow.
It doesn't have to look like home birth, water birth, unmedicated birth. It doesn't have to look like that. It can look like a hospital birth that feels very empowered because you've been lined up with the people to help you through the process. And in that, you have not, we're trying to prevent you from feeling like you don't have any decision-making powers or you have no authority over your body or your baby's life or any of that. We want to make sure you have the tools you need to, speak up for yourself, okay, and communicate. Sometimes it's hard to communicate with people in authority.
Yes, it is.
It's hard to be able to be like, hey, call people out on their shit, And so midwives can help you through all of those processes so that you can feel empowered and taken care of and like you advocated for yourself, Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And also, too, before we close out, can you let us know where we can find you, your social media handles and website?
Yes. My website is www.birthbygracemidwifery.com. We are on Instagram at Birth by Grace. We're on YouTube at Birth by Grace, Midwife Christine. And yeah, you can find us there. Google.
And she's based here in Georgia, in Fayetteville. No, Tyrone.
My office is in Tyrone.
Okay.
And we take care of moms within an hour radius of Fayetteville or Atlanta.
I live about an hour away, so that's good.
Everybody live an hour away.
That's good. Okay, well, thank you, Christine. Again, it was such an honor to have you here and just really kind of breaking down those barriers when we're talking about those hospital births versus home births and actually just the roles of midwives.
Yeah.
Y'all are needed. And again, like I said, the work that you're doing is so, so powerful. I love to just see the journey. I had to have you here on the couch so that we could dive deeper.
I'm so glad to be here.
It.
Thank you for inviting me.
No problem. It was a pleasure, girl.
Now I'm going shopping.
Hello. We about to go get some Urban Eating products.
Yes.
So yes, y'all, that wraps up another Urban Eating podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in with us. And y'all be sure to check out Birth by Grace if you know of any mamas that are about to give birth, or if you're working on, your own child, then definitely hit up Birth by Grace. Amazing midwife group. Now we're going to start calling them a group. It's giving midwife group. And they'll definitely provide you with the support that you need. So until next time, guys, peace.